The story of British expansion in India was not accidental. It was carefully planned with the use of diplomacy, military force, and economic control. The British succeeded over their Indian rivals for several reasons. Their weapons and military techniques were superior. Their soldiers were better trained and regularly paid. Their civil administration was disciplined and recruitment was based on merit. They also had strong leadership and a solid financial backup from the Industrial Revolution in Britain. The first major region to fall under British control was Bengal. By the mid-18th century, Bengal was a rich and prosperous province. Siraj-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Bengal, tried to assert his authority but was betrayed by his own commander, Mir Jafar, in the Battle of Plassey in 1757. This battle marked the beginning of British rule in India. Later, Mir Jafar was replaced by Mir Qasim, who tried to resist British interference. This led to the Battle of Buxar in 1764, where the British defeated the combined forces of Mir Qasim, Shuja-ud-Dawla of Awadh, and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam Deccan. After this, the Treaty of Allahabad was signed in 1765, giving the East India Company the right to collect revenue in Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. This system was called dual government, where Indians bore the responsibility, but real power rested with the British. Meanwhile, in the south, Mysore under Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan emerged as strong challengers. They modernized their army and resisted British advances. There were 4 Anglo-Mysore wars. The first 2 wars were inconclusive, but in the third war, Tipu lost some territory. The fourth war ended with Tipu Sultan's death in 1799. After that, Mysore was placed under the Vodiyar dynasty but under British control. Another major rival was the Maratha Confederacy. The British used both diplomacy and war to weaken them. The first Anglo-Maratha war ended in a stalemate with the Treaty of Salbai. But in the second and third Anglo-Maratha wars, the British emerged victorious. The third Anglo-Maratha war in 1817 to 1819 finally crushed Maratha power, and Peshwa Baji Rao Singh was exiled. In the northwest, the British turned their attention to Sindh. They first signed treaties with the emirs of Sindh but later accused them of disloyalty. Using military force, they annexed Sindh in 1843 under Charles Napier. Next came Punjab. Maharaja Ranjit Singh had built a strong Sikh empire. After his death in 1839, internal struggles weakened the kingdom. 2 Anglo-Sikh wars followed. In the first war, the British won but did not annex Punjab. However, after the Second Anglo-Sikh War in 1849, Punjab was annexed and the Sikh Empire came to an end. Apart from wars, the British used several administrative tools to expand their rule. One such method was the subsidiary alliance introduced by Lord Wellesley. Under this system, Indian rulers had to maintain British troops in their territories and were not allowed to make alliances with other powers. In return, they received British protection. This system led to the control of states like Hyderabad, Awadh, and Mysore. Another method was the doctrine of lapse introduced by Lord Dalhousie. According to this policy, if a ruler died without a biological heir, his kingdom would be annexed. States like Satara, Jhansi, and Nagpur were taken over using this policy. The annexation of Awadh in 1856, though not under this doctrine, was justified on grounds of misgovernance. This caused huge resentment and was one of the immediate causes of the revolt of 1857. In addition, the British maintained strategic relations with neighboring countries. With Bhutan, there were frequent border disputes. With Nepal, the British fought the Anglo-Nepalese War, which ended with the Treaty of Sugauli in 1816. Nepal lost some territory, and Gurkha soldiers became part of the British Indian Army. In Burma, the British fought 3 wars, finally annexing the entire region by 1885. Relations with Tibet and Afghanistan were complex and centered around fears of Russian influence in the region. The British also developed the Northwest Frontier region to protect India from invasions. Forts and administrative centers were built, and frontier policies were adjusted according to changing geopolitical situations. By the middle of the 19th century, the British had brought almost the entire Indian subcontinent under their control. They used a mix of war, diplomacy, deception, and policy to expand their empire. The annexations, interference in Indian traditions, and economic exploitation sowed the seeds of resentment, which would soon explode in the revolt of 1857. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, hit that like button and subscribe to Insight Daily for more educational content every day.